let's go watch it in 2D. No, let's go watch it in 3D. But if we watch it in 3D, then is it worth the cost?
The war is coming to the surface, whether you like it or not. You know I can't let that happen. Aquaman.
Hello. This is Adolf Vega, and I have with me
Jake Jarvis.
And today we are reviewing Aquaman, the movie. And as always, we'll talk about the 3D element first. Now, unfortunately, one thing I gotta talk about the 3D is that it feels very inconsistent. Sometimes it could be fantastic. Sometimes it was, barely there. It just, it depends on the scene. And, that's also always something that, that happens in the movies. If it's placing inland, then the 3D was not that great. If it's in the sea, the 3D could be very great, if not fantastic. It just depends where you are. Did you get that sense?
I was wondering if it was a stylistic choice to make the 3D really pop underwater and kind of flatten it out on land, because the colors were also more vibrant underwater than on land. On land was brighter, of course, generally, but the underseas were much more colorful.
No, it's good to hear that, you had the same experience, because I wondered that, and I was like, I don't know. And then there was one scene where they're taking some photographs in a bar that looks great in 3D. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
And I was thinking, like, maybe they shot those actually with a 3D camera, those pictures, because those look way better than the scene that was right before or after,
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that scene was a beautiful setup. I love that photo scene where the guys want the selfie.
Yeah.
James Wan just used his years of being a horror director. Instead of doing it a jump scare, a misdirect to make a nice little laugh there. That was a nice touch and a nice use of a horror technique in a non-horror movie way.
Now, they do use the 3D to help with some really tall cliffs here and there. And then you do see some fish swimming around when you're in the water. And, occasionally you'll have some things fly out at you. They'll have, like, tridents pointing out toward the screen. The 3D doesn't feel gimmicky or silly. It's just part of the visuals that you see on screen. Now, some of the action, it's definitely a one style where, like, you have the camera angle kind of panning around to see the whole, that was really cool to see, but it's also a little disorienting in 3D. What do you agree?
Yeah. Because some of the times it went too fast and blurred and messed up the 3D effect. But I love the way when they would do a flashback, it would cut. This movie is edited together beautifully. I mean, I'm talking Academy Award editing. Because some of the scenes where they would talk and do a flashback, the change from scene to scene, it was so good. I mean, it was breathtakingly good.
And, some camera angles, sometimes the camera is, like, first person and, like, it pulls you into the screen. And some of the shots, underwater shots, were stunningly beautiful in 3D. And, it's like, holy crap, this is awesome. And then it gets okay. And then it gets really good. And then it just keeps going back and forth. And it's so hard to review this because, like, my heart wants to say it was great, but then my mind is like, no, it's just too inconsistent to be great. It's just good. It's good 3D. You would be happy watching it in 3D, but it could have been a little bit better in the, if the outside on land scenes were better in 3D, then I would give it a great. But what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd give it a good 3D. I was tempted to see if I could go see this in IMAX, see if that made a difference.
Yeah.
But the IMAX theater near me is inconsistent in their presentation, and I did not feel like making a 100-mile round trip and spending $30.
Yeah, they did say that the IMAX version does have more of the screen. I think it was shot for IMAX, so I think it would be really, really great to see in IMAX if you have a top-notch IMAX screen. But yeah, I think you'll definitely be happy you watched it in 3D. It could have been better, but it was really really enjoyable. So
Yeah, 3D is nice. It's just not. It's not going to take your breath away. Drop your jaw dropping like wow, life changing. But it is good, and it's well worth the extra money to see it in 3D.
So now onto the movie itself. First of all, I'm going to state I do not want to use any ocean tomfoolery, nautical nonsense, fishy puns, or aquatic cutesy wordplay. I really hate that other reviews and other people covering Aquaman just are you have to do those puns, and I can't stand it. I hate that stuff. So, Jake, do you agree with me? No stupid puns in this movie review.
I will. I don't need to grab that low hanging fruit.
We're professionals, damn it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So Aquaman has been a part of DC Comics for 75 years, or a little bit over, and it's great to finally see him on the big screen on a movie of his own.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Now, this movie does take place after the events of Justice League. They do reference something that happened in Justice League, but for the most part, 95% of the movie is standalone. So if you've never seen Justice League or any of the recent Batman Superman movies, you don't have to. You're fine. You're totally fine.
Mm-hmm. In fact, you're probably mentally healthier than those of us that have.
And I was really wondering if they were going to reference it at all. And it's fine. It's totally fine they didn't,
Mm-hmm.
So, Jason Momoa reprises his role and is a likable hero. He's a dumb jock, but I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really sells the kind of the whole bro thing.
And he's different. I've never seen quite an actor like him on screen,
Uh-huh.
So
yeah, he's definitely he's built like some of these powerhouse guys like John Cena and Dwayne Johnson, but there's just something just so laid back, and you can see him in Entourage and still be he's a bro, but he's not a douchebag. He's such a nice guy.
And one day, the character of Mira comes to speak to Aquaman and warns him of an upcoming war between the Atlanteans and, the people that live on land. And Aquaman is the only person that could help stop this war. Mira, played by Amber Heard, I loved her in this movie.
Uh-huh. Oh, she was awesome. The hair drove me nuts. The color looked so fake, but I was like, and some of the hair in this movie, I hadn't seen wigs this bad since first season of RuPaul's Drag Race, but...
So, we get to the movie, and there's two villains here, Ocean Master and Black Manta. Now, I thought Ocean Master was really overacted and cheesy. What did you think of him?
I liked him fine. I like Patrick Wilson. But the thing is, he was overshadowed by Black Manta. That was a much more compelling story.
Yeah, I agree. Black Manta is a good villain. We get too little background on him. I wanted more, but I did like him. I did think he was interesting. Now, the villains kind of serve as a plot device, not really fully realized characters. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, more or less.
And, it feels different. This movie feels different. I've never quite seen a movie like this before. I've never seen an underwater movie like this. I've never seen an adventure, superhero movie like this. This is more like an adventure movie than just a pure action movie. And it has a good heart to it.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of the movie Romancing the Stone, which is kind of an action-adventure rom-com with Michael Douglas.
I've never seen it, but I heard about it.
Oh yeah, you should see it, because then you'll catch what I'm talking about. This movie had lots of elements of the Brendan Fraser version of The Mummy, Romancing the Stone, like I said, a little bit of Indiana Jones on the Temple of Doom. It was fun.
Adventure feel, yeah.
Yeah, and it was lighthearted. It also had a Hong Kong sensibility to it, even though it's not a Hong Kong movie. Because they like to mix things like romance and drama and horror. They like to have their movies and mix it all up. And this movie was definitely a hodgepodge of, you had a part romantic comedy, part adventure, part superhero action movie.
An action adventure movie,
Exactly.
Now, there's some problems here. We're liking this movie so far. You cannot deny the problems with this movie. I can't. The narrative is kind of loosely tied together. There's some plot points that aren't fully explored. There's some scenes that go to other scenes. Like, wait, how did that go that way? And
yeah, this has definitely got shaggy dog plotting.
So it's makes it a little smooth. It makes it a little faster, but then like, wait, you skipped a step here. But it's not that big a deal. Some of the jokes are really goofy and immature.
Yeah, it's dad humor.
And the writing is not that good.
Yeah, and Jason Momoa can sell a pee joke, and be likable. Doesn't come across as a gross dude.
The writing has been generic and mediocre. It's far from perfect, but it is still likable, even if it has these flaws.
And the thing is, I thought they had a really tough hoe to do, because Zack Snyder's movies threw a whole bunch of crap at Wonder Woman and Aquaman, in Justice League and Superman and Batman v Superman, that they had to address, and I think they did pretty good considering what they had, the 800-pound elephant they got stuck with.
Yeah, and this is its own movie. It feels like, okay, it's after Justice League, but it's its own movie. It's its own thing. It doesn't disrespect the Zack Snyder, DC universe, but doesn't necessarily, automatically throw it away either. It's its own thing. And if there's not a second Aquaman movie, then that's fine. You got the full story here. I want more, but
Oh, we probably get, with the money this is making overseas, we're gonna get another Aquaman movie.
I wouldn't be surprised if Aquaman just takes over January, because there's nothing else out there.
Mm-hmm.
So where the movie does succeed, I feel like, is the action, the entertainment value, and the special effects. Many action scenes had the panning camera that was just showing you different angles of the action that were amazing to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This movie is breathtakingly gorgeous.
It's a little bit disorienting at times, but overall the action scenes are really well executed.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and old time Aquaman fans, you're gonna squee when you see Topo playing the drums.
And the movie's fun, and it's intriguing from beginning to end. I love the flashbacks of a younger Aquaman, and I wanted more of that.
Yeah, and Willem Dafoe sells so much, because there's so much nonsense in this movie that my eyes would have rolled back in my head and I would have disengaged. But Willem Dafoe sells it. He sells so much. He makes so much of this work.
Movie has a lot of touching scenes, but it's not really too sentimental. Special effects, we said it's amazing, and obviously, if this is probably the best special effects of this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are really nice. This is a beautiful movie. And I was just blown away. By the fight scenes in this stuff reminds me of like Lord of the Rings.
And it's greater than the sum of its parts. It has its issues, but it feels unique, and I had a great time. And for me, I don't know about you, Jake, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. I liked it. It had problems, but I liked
exactly what I was going to give it an 8.
We're 100% agreement here.
Yeah, I had to take 2 points off for the shagginess, but I bumped it up to an 8. I mean, Jason Momoa, he is now a full list movie star.
And this can, Wonder Woman and Aquaman, they're leading the way of how to make DC movies work and be its own thing and be different. This feels fundamentally different from all the MCU movies. It looks different. It has And same thing with the Wonder Woman. I'm looking forward to Shazam, and I have a brighter future for DC coming up. I feel more good.
See James Wan tackle more things besides horror movies and racing movies.
All right. Well, I guess that's going to be basically it for this spoiler-free podcast. Anything else to mention? Spoiler-free?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Before this podcast ends, I want to give a thank you to my patrons. Right now, we have one patron, which is David from Spain, and I want to thank you for your financial support. All right. So that's going to be it for this podcast.
We now have a Patreon, and the link is in the description. Thanks for watching.
And we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, little bit everywhere. Just look for us, 3D or 2D. And of course, review us on iTunes. And if you want to write us a letter, our email address is email3d or 2d@gmail.com. So that's going to be it. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone.